Consumer being persuaded that it's all worth it. Mahua, talk to us a little bit about how you see that three-way shuffle happening and what you see the challenges are, whether it's in India or elsewhere. And are there countries, let's say from an India standpoint, that you think manage that three-way transaction particularly effectively?
So three parts to that question. I would add in your business category, I would add financiers. We don't, at least in India, we don't have an active debt market for electric vehicles. Our banks, or at least our mainline banks, are still conservative and apprehensive to lend to this new sector. And so that causes a fair bit of concern. We're unable to deploy at the level of scale that we need. So in that business category, I would split that up into financiers and the OEMs, as they call the original equipment manufacturers, the bus companies and the auto companies. So this needs then, the fundamental in this arrangement is some sort of risk mitigation that works for all four players. What does the consumer want? The consumer wants some answer to range anxiety, and that will perhaps overcome this decision-making at the time of purchasing a vehicle. It also, incidentally, is the only, perhaps the biggest lever when it comes to business-to-business transactions. So there's a very big market that's developing in India around three-wheelers in the delivery of freight. Ever since COVID struck and thereafter, people have gotten also quite comfortable with delivery, and the market for delivery services has exponentially increased. And they're very, very sensitive to financing. The needs for financing are very big. The needs for charging infrastructure are very big. So a certain element of risk mitigation then is necessary across these four players. What does a financier want? They want the assurance that they get paid. Our public transit agencies are moving over, in fact, I would say transforming so rapidly to electric vehicles when their own financial health is in a bit of stress. And that causes, of course, concerns, and it restricts the depth of this market. In India, we don't have financiers that back buses other than normal banks that do corporate finance. So we've got a number of things to be worked out there. Is there experience from the rest of the world? I can't say that. I think there are things to borrow from in terms of lessons from other countries. We're constantly looking to see who has got it right with subsidies and with what sort of subsidies. We're always looking at battery efficiency and what that really looks like. So I think there are things to pick from other countries. There are some very significant challenges ahead, and I would call these risks, so to speak. I think there was some discussion around supply. Where will our supply come from? We don't have as much supply, not just risk around supply and purchase of minerals, but also just in the supply chains. We don't have as much supply of the other equipment or manufacturing abilities. Probably never anticipated this sort of demand that's coming up in India. A lot of vehicles and vehicle manufacturers are at certain products just constantly out of stock. It's getting better, but we have a problem in our hands. We have to very quickly set up a recycling economy. Perhaps it was Sven that mentioned that, but that needs to start to give a signal to the market that there will be a proper market for things like reuse batteries once they're done with their transportation life. So these are things that we've got to manage in parallel. There's another piece of work that we don't always talk about, and that is an incentive for scrapping. And a lot of our vehicles are still a little old on the roads, but we don't have enough money to get rid of them, to buy and to get new ones. So some level of financial incentive there would be very helpful. So a number of different sort of answers to your tri-party question. I think that had 4 sections in it, key to which I would say is just risk mitigation, just understanding what each needs and figuring out some sort of an arrangement to address that risk.
Okay, got it. Work to do.